The sky was a flawless blue the day I rolled back into town, my old pickup rattling over the familiar dirt road to my ranch. But the second I crested the hill, my stomach dropped like a stone. Where my cattle once grazed, a cul-de-sac sprawled, lined with cookie-cutter houses, plastic shutters, wire fences, and lawn gnomes grinning like they knew something I didn't. My barn, weathered and proud, stood like a ghost in the distance, dwarfed by the suburban invasion. Kids zipped by on scooters down the gravel path I'd laid with my dad decades ago. A gaudy sign stabbed into my pasture read, Silver Oaks HOA, established this year. My blood pressure hissed louder than a kettle. I pulled over, boots crunching on gravel, and stepped out. Nobody noticed me at first. A jogger with a yappy dog and a stroller gave me a curt nod, like I was the hired help. I wandered toward the barn, each step heavy wire, surreal. Yoga mats were strewn inside where hay bales used to stack. A mural of flowers and inspirational nonsense defaced the side, and a wreath hung on the door with a sign, Serenity Center. My cows would have snorted at the irony. I stood there, my dad's voice echoing in my head from the day he handed me the deed. Guard this land, Sam Carter. Don't let it go unless your heart's gone with it. I never let it go. 8 months ago, I'd left to settle my uncle's estate in Montana. Now, my ranch was a stranger's playground. Then I heard her heels clicking, clipboard in hand, sunglasses perched like a crown. Excuse me, sir, she snapped, 2 fluffball dogs trailing her like bodyguards. This is private HOA property. You can't be here. I blinked. Ma'am, this is my ranch. Her laugh was sharp, like I'd claimed to be the governor. No, sir. This is Silver Oaks. We bought this land fair and square. You're trespassing. She waved at 2 polo-wearing guys sipping iced tea by the barn. They shuffled over, confused but loyal. I didn't argue. I walked to my truck, her voice buzzing behind me like a wasp, and pulled the deed from the glove box. The original, signed in 1986, my name Sam Carter in black ink. No transfers, no liens, just truth. I handed it to her. She was mid-rant about bylaws when her eyes flicked over the paper. Her lips twitched, then she laughed a brittle, nervous sound. This doesn't mean anything. We bought this from a developer. I don't know what you're pulling. I leaned in. Where's your deed? Your recorded title? She faltered. That's not your concern. The HOA handles it. I knew then, she had no clue who owned the land. Someone had sold her a lie, and she'd sold it to 100 families. I walked away, past the playground where my mom's roses once bloomed, past mailboxes where the chicken coop used to stand. In my truck, I gripped the wheel until my knuckles whitened. The land looked the same, but it felt stolen. Still, I had the deed. I had the truth. At the county recorder's office, the clerk's confusion confirmed my suspicions. Your name's still on the file, Mr. Carter. No sale, no transfer. I left with copies and a spinning head. This wasn't a mix-up, it was theft. A developer had built a neighborhood on my land without a shred of legal right. Back at the ranch, I parked under an oak that had somehow served VY-Ved the makeover. The rows of houses gleamed like fake teeth, each with a potted plant and a security sign. Nobody knew they were levying on a legal time bomb. I started with a drone, its hum cutting the morning fog as it mapped the sub-BVY shown. The footage was brutal homes squatted over my barn, my corral, even my granddad's tool shed, now a garden shack with fairy lights. 90% of Silver Oaks sat on my core ranch land. I overlaid the shots with my survey files, marking every violation. Then I knocked on doors. Most folks were polite but clueless. A retired teacher, Mr. Thompson, invited me in for lemonade, saying he'd bought for the historic charm. When I asked about the deed, he shrugged. The HOA gave us papers. I left with a heavy heart. These weren't VY lanes, just people caught in a scam. My cousin Luke, a real estate lawyer, nearly choked when I told him. They built a whole sub-VY shown without a title? Sam, this is a lawyer's dream. He filed a cease and desist and promised a CIVYL suit. I hit the HOA office next, a sage green mockery of my old tool shed. The woman Lisa, the clipboard queen, stormed out, her hair pulled tight as a barbed wire fence. "You're not permitted here," she barked. I slid a folder across the counter, drone stills, tax records, my deed. She snapped it shut without reading. "This changes nothing. We have legal documents." Their deed was a flimsy purchase agreement, signed but never recorded. I leaned forward. "Your seller never owned the land. Every house here is illegal." She rolled her eyes, muttering about trespassing. The fight escalated fast. I sent drone footage to a local news station, and they aired a segment with me by the barn, laying out the truth. I never sold, someone built over my land, and I wanted it back. The story went viral when a property rights group published it online. Developer builds community on stolen ranch land. Residents flooded the HOA's Facebook page, some demanding answers, others accusing me of sabotage. Lisa called an emergency meeting, while viewing fake papers and calling me a fraud. But the crowd turned. Someone asked why the developer, Greg Hansen, had vanished. Another held up county records with my name. Lisa's voice cracked as she shouted into a dead mic. The sheriff delivered EVY tie-in notices a week later, 14 days to vacate or fight in court. Lisa's final town hall was a disaster. She begged for unity, but the room stared back, hollow. A man asked, "If there's no valid title, how is this land yours?" She froze. Questions piled up: missing funds, ignored warnings. She fled her own meeting. Families started VYing, some in the night, others with for sale signs. The county launched a probe into the permits, uncovering a trail of fraud. Greg Hansen was a ghost, no phone, no address, just a shell company and a pile of cash. Then came Mia, a single mom, trembling on my porch with a checkbook. "Can I rent the land? I've got kids and nowhere to go." Over coffee, her story broke my heart. She wasn't part of the scam, just a VY Tim. I offered her a month-to-month lease, no HOA nonsense. 8 other families followed, and I vetted each one. Lisa, desperate, filed a harassment claim, but the judge tossed it and fined her. A former board member turned whistleblower, handing over emails pro-VYing. Lisa knew the title was faulty but kept selling. With that, Luke filed the big suit: damages, restitution, full control. Lisa left at dawn, her SUV slipping away like a thief. Her house sat dark, a wine rack and HOA flyers abandoned inside. The land started healing. Grass crept back, birds nested in the barn. I tore out the last fake fences, letting the soil breathe. The families who stayed brought pie, offered to repaint the barn. One night, under the oak, I told them about my granddad, the frozen well, my mom's tomatoes. Their eyes softened with respect. At a small gathering, with chili simmering and guitar strings humming, kids ran barefoot in the field. The ranch felt alive again, not a sub-EVY shown, but a community, raw and real. I buried a new deed under the grass with a note: this land was never for sale. It's loaned to hearts brave enough to carry it. The stars burned bright that night, and the ranch wasn't a battlefield anymore. It was home, patient and unbroken, waiting for the right boots to walk it true.